What's up, MMA fans on YouTube? I'm going to do UFC 80 rapid fire predictions. I'm sorry for the late time. The event's almost going to start. They're actually going to show it live, so it's starting now. I think it's probably 9-10 o'clock over in England, so it should be pretty fun doing them this close to the vest, but let's get right to it. The first fight of the evening, we're probably going to see Kendall Grove versus Jorge Rivera. Kendall opened up his last card as the first fight of the night against Patrick Cote and ended up getting knocked out against Cote. As you know, both these guys are coming off KO losses, both Jorge Rivera and Kendall Grove. I believe Jorge lost to Terry Martin in his last fight. He's 2-2 in his last 4 fights. I believe he lost to Chris Lieben too via KO and beat Edwin Deweese on a finale show. So this fight is pretty interesting. Both these guys are really different points in their career. Kendall's young; he's got a lot more years left in the game, and Jorge's kind of just like, you know, swimming for his life right now. He's got to win this fight in order to still maintain his prowess in his career. Jorge's been in there with some very tough guys. Been in there with, you know, Franklin, Loazo when he was better. You know, Terry Martin, Lieben, guys that hit very hard. And one very noticeable weakness about Grove's game is his chin. He's been caught and knocked out, although by, you know, some pretty hard hitters like Hector Ramirez, Patrick Cote. Can't really take nothing away from him. I believe he was ground and pounded by Joe Riggs too, although that was several years back. I think Grove will probably win this fight. I think he's more well-rounded. His length is definitely going to give him a good advantage in terms of striking distance. He's got a good submission game. Jorge seems to be getting caught pretty easily and knocked out these days, and I think Grove's game's pretty well-rounded. He's training with a really good camp in Extreme Couture, so I see him winning this fight via submission or stoppage, probably second round. On to the next fight, which is going to be, I think, a very good fight. I think these two guys are kind of underrated in the light heavyweight division. They've got some decent wins under their belt. Jason Lambert against Wilson Gouveia. Gouveia is a guy who's been slated to fight a few times, but has yet to do so because of injury, but he does have 4 fights in the UFC. His first fight was against Keith Jardine, a fight that I thought he might have won, but it was a very razor-thin type decision. Jason Lambert, you know, big win against Babalu. You know, most notable win so far for him. He's fought a lot of tough guys also in the UFC, Rashad Evans, so on and so forth. So this is kind of one of those fights where you've got two guys like swimming around in the middle that one was sent. So this is an important fight for both of them. I think this is going to be an interesting fight in that I think Gouveia's stand-up's more fluid. I think his jiu-jitsu is definitely better than Lambert's. But Lambert does have, you know, big knockout power. His wrestling's good. Gouveia's shown a little bit of cardio issues in the later rounds, but I don't think it's going to go that far. I think Gouveia is probably going to win this fight easily. Not easily per se, but it's going to be a tough fight. I think he probably wins this fight late second, early third. Probably catches Lambert in a submission, possibly rear naked choke, armbar, something to that effect. Just the way I see it going down, so I picked Wilson Gouveia in this fight. Now on to the next fight. Marcus the Irish Hand Grenade Davis against Jess Laudin, French fighter, I believe. This should be a really good fight. I just think Marcus is on a tear right now. He's on a tear. Here's a guy that seemed to be like winding down his career after he came off Tough 2, and then he just exploded. I think he's on a 10-11 fight winning streak, winning his fights very impressively, and the most impressive part is this ground game. He's just really taken his ground game and just turned it into a strength rather than a weakness, which was considerably shown on the show. But now he's submitting guys. He's just, it looks excellent in there. Just looks like a complete fighter. And Jess Laudin, he's got a lot of fights. Though he's lost to the better competition he has faced. He's got 2 wins in the UFC though, and overseas shows, I believe 70 and 75. But he's lost to Paul Taylor, a guy that Marcus Davis beat in his last fight via the armbar, which is a beautiful armbar. And I just think Marcus is way too well-rounded for Loudon. Wherever this fight goes, whether it's standing up or on the ground, I think he's just too well-rounded. Could finish the fight in the first or in the second. I don't see this fight going farther than that. He finishes Loudon knockout or submission first, early second round. On to the next fight, which is a rematch from both these guys early in their career. Gabriel Napao Gonzaga in his comeback fight off of the title match loss against Randy Couture against Fabrizio Verdum. A guy is a Pride veteran, had a lackluster debut in UFC against Andrei Arlovsky. Is fighting a guy who's probably a different fighter than he faced back in the day. Probably Verdum is too, but I think Gonzaga is definitely a different fighter, especially in stand-up. I think his hands are definitely dangerous. I think his kicks are definitely dangerous. He's shown in 2 fights already that he could land that head kick against guys with some good movement and good athleticism, and guys that are much smaller heavyweights than Verdum and Couture and Prokop. But this is going to be a really good fight. Verdum has been in there with really, really tough guys. Nogueira, Orlovsky, Alexander Emelianenko. He's been in there with really, really tough competition, and he's weathered some storms and even beat Fedor's younger brother. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be a very tough fight, but I'll go with Gonzaga in this one. He's coming off that loss. They're both coming off losses, but I think he's definitely going to be motivated to want to avenge that loss. I think he possibly could knock Verdum out, possibly. And if he does that, he's definitely one of the top tier heavyweights out there, because, albeit Verdum isn't a big name in the heavyweight division worldwide, he definitely is a tough guy, really tough guy, and very hard to finish. And if he could do that where others failed, definitely see Gonzaga ascending and possibly getting another title shot very soon. So I pick Gonzaga in this one. I'm going to go on a limb, say he knocks Verdum out in the second or third round. Now, on to the next fight, which is a championship fight for the lightweight title. It won't have that interim tag attached to it. It'll be the lightweight title. BJ the Prodigy Penn against Joe Daddy Stevenson. This fight for me is... I really hate. I don't like to be I'm not going to be disrespectful, but I don't like to short count guys. I just think who BJ has fought in his career compared to Stevenson is just like night and day. I think Stevenson has shown some ability, the lack of ability to take a good shot. He's gotten rocked in a few of his fights that I've seen against lesser competition. I think he was rocked a little bit against Pellegrino in his last fight. He was definitely rocked against Josh Neer in a fight that he ended up losing. So I see BJ just having the advantage in every possible area. I think Joe is probably a better pure grappler in the sense that he's really good, taking guys down and transitioning. But then again, BJ is the only American to win the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Championships in Brazil. So you just got to give the edge to Penn. Definitely the edge standing, definitely the edge grappling. He's been in there with Hughes, George St. Pierre, Hughes twice, or 3 times. I'm sorry, 3 times. Been in there with Hughes. No, I'm sorry, 2 times he's been in there with Hughes. I keep thinking, I get GSP and the rest of those guys mixed up because they've all seemingly fought each other. And they have, but he's been in there with Hughes twice. He's been in there with just Lyoto Machida, who's still undefeated. He's been in there with, Pulver when Pulver was at his peak. You saw how easy he took care of Pulver in his last fight. He's just been in there with the better guys, Matt Serra, just the cream of the crop at their peak, I believe. So he's definitely got the edge in this fight. I just see him winning any which way he wants. It just depends on what happens. I probably see him stopping Joe, probably with a big shot. Probably catches Joe, knocks him out, because I just haven't seen the ability in Joe's hands to really put somebody on their butt. And BJ has one of those chins, one of those tested chins, and he's definitely can take a shot, and I just don't think Joe has it in his hands to put him on his back. But then again, you never know. But picking Penn in this fight, probably a stoppage in the second or third round when Joe gets tired. So until then, you guys have a good one. Take care. Hope the event, is good. It's definitely, lacking a little star power, but, it's definitely going to be some good fights. So hopefully it lives up and exceeds expectations. So until then, you guys have a good one. Enjoy the show, and take care.